Welcome to the Old Souls and Seekers podcast, a podcast that transcends the typical personal development journey. You're not new to this. You've read the books, attended the seminars, and perhaps even tried various coaching programs, yet something still feels amiss. Elon and Guy have over 2 decades of relentless searching and $1 million invested in their personal growth quest. Here's the revelation. You're not missing anything. You're not even behind. You might have just been searching in the wrong places. In each episode, we'll uncover the most effective, straightforward practices that have profoundly impacted our lives and the tens of thousands of our clients from all over the world. This is about real, sustainable results for those dedicated to their personal and spiritual growth. So get ready to explore and enjoy the show. Hey. What's going on, y'all? Please feel free to say hi in the chat box there. What's up to Phil, to Garth, to Barbara, Sally, William, Veronique, hi. Joy Cantrell, Tim is here. Got more of you come on in. So say hi in the chat box. Let me know if it's one of your first times here or your first time here. I'm on a litany of calls this morning from our coaches call. Just finished level 1 training. So those always feel very, very special to me. If you guys were on there, thank you for being on there. Elon is just come back from Mexico a few days ago, and he is very sick, unfortunately. So I'm a solo act today. Honestly, if you are a coach in our community, Veronique or anybody else, and you feel like joining me on the live call today for more of a round robin conversation, I know it's a little bit last minute, but if you're feeling like you want to come out, raise your hand and hit speak, and I'll actually bring you out here to join me, and we can have a little bit more of a community chat. So if you're into that. So I'll give it just a minute to see if anybody wants to join me. Otherwise, what I would love to invite everyone to do today will help me to get a little bit grounded. Hey, Barbara. Yeah, it was good to have you on there. Though it always feels really, really special to drop in with you guys. I hope it was useful. I'd love to just invite everyone to close their eyes. So closing your eyes and take a deep breath. And then this time, take another deep breath, but see if the previous breath got kind of caught in the lungs, and see if this one you can bring down to the belly. So just kind of softening the belly, softening the center channel, and just relaxing the body a little bit more. And then bringing the awareness away from the center point of the brain, kind of just finding the space around the head, locating the objective witness. There you go. Feeling the settling, probably feel like the body relaxing a little bit. So just enjoy the restfulness there for a moment. We have a tendency in our society to not allow rest. We're all caffeinated. Go, do, perform. Like, allow rest in this moment. Nowhere to be.
And you can ask yourself, what's here now when there are no problems to solve? So just getting curious about what's here now when there are no problems to solve. And then bring your awareness all the way down to the feet. And maybe you start feeling like as you bring your awareness to the left foot and the right foot, that there's a increased swell of sensation or energy or heat at the feet. So just kind of noticing if you're getting a charge, and if you're just getting in, just closing your eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath, finding the spaciousness around your head, relaxing the body, enjoying a little bit of rest, taking this moment to pause, and bringing awareness to your feet, and feeling as the feet begin to feel more charge and sensation at the feet. And then just having a intention, even for these next 45, 50 minutes that we're together, or however much time you have to give in this community, in this conversation, in this space, like just setting some kind of intention for yourself. Maybe it's the intention of peace, or the intention of feeling grounded. Maybe it's the intention of self-compassion, healing, whatever's there. So take another 15, 20 seconds, and then find an exit. And then when you're ready, just blinking your eyes open. So since I'm solo, I'm 100% open to taking any questions you guys might have about an area of life that you're kind of looking at or curious about, something you want some feedback on, by all means. So feel free to drop that in the chat box or the Q&A box. And I'll give you a moment to kind of mull that over and ask. Certainly going to take some potential vulnerability or courage on your part. And I honor that as well. And I wanted to just talk about contrast in experiences, and not being so addicted, or we just kind of mentioned this in level 1, kind of like agenda heavy on the process of healing, and hi to everybody that showed up as well. I see Jane and Zoe and a bunch of people from L1 popped in here as well. So nice to be with you again. And, I had mentioned this on the level 1 call, like really approaching all our healing work without having an agenda. And Sally's asking about the limitations of attachment. And I think that plays into this perfectly. And, again, I think it's useful always to feel into the energy of things instead of trying to just simply understand them from the mind. Because we've all done the personal development stuff. We get that insight. It's really exciting. Oh man, now I get it. Everything's going to change. And then you get this like hopeful energy. Before you know it, that hopefulness gets intertwined with the ego. The ego gets attached to some specific outcome. And the outcome becomes not the outcome we thought, and our attachment quickly turns into disappointment. And this is how hope, when it's not healthy, can backdoor itself into disappointment. And so a lot of us do work, do personal development, do spiritual development, do self-improvement work, do healing work with this like really rigid agenda, with these really rigid attachments, because we already have an idea of what our healing is supposed to look like and who we're supposed to become. And so much of that so much of that keeps you from actually having the experiences that allow for this, because healing, it does not look like you guys think. It's not a linear process. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. Sometimes it's really mystical. Sometimes the images, the feelings, like none of it even makes sense at all. You're like, I don't even normally feel that way. I don't even have those concerns, but in this moment, it's like super intense. So I want to give you, even some stuff that's become more into my awareness today. And science and spiritual science have a lot of parallels, but will use different distinctions that can be somewhat confusing. I'm going to give you my story. This certainly does not mean it's the truth. And Garth, I got your question. I'll weave it in a moment. But science will acknowledge that there's a part of us that's living unconsciously or subconsciously, and then there's a part of us that's conscious. And I would offer that from a scientific perspective, our unconscious or subconscious aspects of our mind will pretty much determine the quality of our lives. Because whether we know it or not, we think we're living in this very conscious state. The truth is we're really not. About 95, 99% of what we do is unconscious. Our system that just kind of navigates the world. And science will tell us that in every second of our experience, there is approximately, and this is just putting it into contemporary nomenclature, so there's about 1 million bits of information that our mind can be aware of. Okay? 1 million bits of information second by second that our mind can be aware of. Science tells us that in some of our best moments, the most our mind can process of that 1 million bits is 16 bits of information. It's just 16 bits. So let that sit for a moment. 16 bits of information is what you have access to moment by moment. Okay, so what's the math on that real quick? I'm just curious. So it's 0.00016% of the reality that's coming to us moment by moment that we can be actually aware of. And so 99.99999% of what's occurring all the time, we're really actually not aware of. And makes sense. Like there's just this, when you open the data stream, like when you take plant medicine, for example, and the data stream opens, it's overwhelming. It just is, right? It's an overwhelming experience. And so we're all operating mostly inside of our patterns, and those patterns are oftentimes misguided and are distorted and are trauma informed. Most of the choices and decisions we make in life are not made from a place of no agenda or from a place of open space. Mostly it's like, what's going to make me feel the safest? I'm going to avoid what's uncomfortable. I'm going to try to move towards where there's pleasure. And unfortunately, both of them kind of open you up to the same trap, because whether you're trying to avert something or you're trying to attach yourself to some kind of experience or create like a craving of some kind of experience, at the end of the day, both of those will end up in creating disruption in your life and suffering to some degree. And so the path in the middle, this path of compassion for all my experiences, that's kind of how we get in the middle, is is finding how to be compassionate with experiences on kind of both sides of the pendulum. And then we find ourselves in the middle. And the reason we can find ourselves in the middle is just because we allow for our experience to be our experience without judgment. And even if judgment shows up, we can compassionately be with the judgment that shows up. And so this is a moment by moment practice, And so the way that we learn to do this is through contrast. There is no other way. I apologize to the level 1 people. I said, we're here to point to you at where the path is. That's all Satori Prime does. We point at the path and we support you as you walk on that path. And the reality is there are no shortcuts on this path. Like all the things that I have gone to go through in my life to have the level of wisdom and experience that I have today, every student I've ever worked with has to go through their version of those experiences. Has to. It's not I wish I could say, hey, here's a little shortcut, go there. Having said that, what I noticed is because of support, because there's a community structure around, healing work never works on itself, ever. If you could heal yourself, you would have done it a long time ago. And so because the more community is here and the more support is available to everybody around the world, the more accelerated walking that path becomes. And so Elon and I see all the time, like things that took us 8-9 years sometimes, to have wisdom and clarity around. We have students that within 12 months are sitting in those states. And that's incredible. I mean, like a 9x, 900% ROI is pretty damn good. So just wanted to kind of throw that into the conversation here today. And again, if you guys have questions about what I'm offering here, let me just see what Garth is saying. He's exhausted, waking, triggered from work, stress repeatedly. So I'm just going to broadcast the question that Garth put to everybody so you guys can see it too. But exhausting, waking, triggered from work stress repeatedly, and meditate and breath work as much as I'm sleeping lately. Too many problems and deadlines from work stress. How to stop the mind. Great. So pretty common question about how to stop the mind. So Garth and everybody else, like, give your mind a moment to be your mind. Let it chatter. Let it have opinions. Let it be judgmental. Let it be a drunk buffoon. Let it do all the things. And then see, because some of you guys are really well trained around your mind, see if you can drop your training and then drop the effort about trying to arrange the mind in any particular way and just actually be with the mind as it is. And maybe there's some unpleasantness that comes with that. So be with the unpleasantness. Some of you guys are trying to avoid the thoughts in your head. And that's okay. So don't try to get rid of the avoidance. Just notice that the mind is speaking and then there's a part that avoids. Notice that the mind is speaking and then there's a part that judges. You're a human being. You're going to have opinions. Has anybody figured out how to not have opinions? If so, please call me. Your mind is angry about stuff. It doesn't like things. It's disgruntled with things. And something we can offer here is that your mind operates and has always operated from whatever conditioning was unconsciously given to you, whatever reflections you got, whatever, dysregulations existed or didn't exist in your household. And these are the concerns of your mind. There's nothing wrong with your mind. It's just the mind is, it's a computer with certain programs, and it has certain conditioning. And then I want you to notice that trying to change how the mind works doesn't change the mind. You can throw as much resistance as you want on it, tell it to do whatever you want it to tell it to do. Does it listen? Does it care? It's like in a black box. And that's not to say that we can't change the way that the mind works or offer neuroplasticity, but it doesn't work because you try to strong arm it. Because if that would have worked, all of humanity would have healed itself a long time ago. We're great at suffering. We're great at putting pressure on ourselves. We're great at trying to force outcomes. How many people do you know that are living exquisite life where they're in love with every experience that they're having? Their relationships are amazing. Their health is intact. They have all the abundance in the world. They're happy, happy, happy all the time. Like, nobody. It doesn't exist in the paradigm and effort in which people are doing it in. So take this moment again to just be with your mind as it is. Be with your experience exactly as it is and exactly as it's not. If you're sitting down, Garth, and anybody else, because you're certainly not alone in this, and your interpretation of meditation or breath work is to quiet the mind, then I'm going to tell you right now, you are not meditating and you're not doing breath work. You have an agenda, and that agenda is to quiet your mind. And you'll notice that when you have an agenda to quiet your mind is not quiet. Meditation is an art of being with what is arising in a moment by moment phenomenon. It's being with the phenomenology of reality, which is reality is an emergent experience. It's something arising from nothing over and over again. Like the way your thoughts work and the way that your emotions work, the way the clouds work. They seem like they come from nowhere at all. We can't track back the source, and they arise and they fall. And the thoughts that are most pervasive for you are the thoughts that you're most resistant against, the ideas that you're most resistant against. Like if you, for example, are inwardly judgmental of your anger. You will find that anger is a big part of your life, most likely, and that when you see anger in society or other people exuding anger, that you reject it. You're angry at people who are angry. You always do the thing that, you're against. Yeah. So I get it. So Garth is just offering a little bit more, and I get that there's like an element of suffering there. Yeah. So again, this is a story. I don't know that it's true. So take it for what you will. If you're waking up at night on a regular basis, chances are your nervous system is not able to fully rest in an entire sleep cycle. Yeah. And again, you're like angry at my boss. That probably feels like some anger at dad or some other relationships you've had, maybe being taken advantage of. I feel something going on in the throat over there, Garth, like you can't speak your mind potentially. And then there's some like fear at the bottom of the belly there. So like, it makes sense, right? Like this is how we end up in these situations. Our trauma is trying to work itself out. Like that's kind of the nature of this reality, is like whatever. Yeah. Thank you for the feedback. So I know that I'm on it. We're always like, it's not like we're here to suffer, but the nature in the physics will even back this up. Quantum physics backs this up. It's like we loop. Our reality loops. And it's not because it's like, oh my God, it's here to like make me suffer again and again. It's actually how the system recycles and cleans itself. But it recycles and cleans itself when it's met in a particular way. And I've never seen anybody resolve anything, literally nothing, without having somebody there as a resource and as like in relationship with somebody. Like we need somebody there with us. It's just like the child who's upset. You needed the parent to be there. You needed a grounded, regulated figure body there, that when you're in dysregulation, you need an example, an energetic example, your nervous system does, of how to find regulation when it's dysregulated. So I imagine for those who are sleep deprived, it's a symptom of nervous system dysregulation. And the system can't come to rest. And it goes through these cycles of like trying to rest and then kind of like popping back up into upregulation. And when we're upregulated, of course, like resting and sleeping is impossible. And so then we started doing the practices, trying to calm it all down. So I think, Garth, what might be missing for you is the relational piece, is starting to co-regulate with other people. And if you guys haven't been to our Intuitive Mind program yet, that will come up in December 14th and 15th, I believe. Or you're in the nervous system reset protocol. I don't know. Again, we have different memberships levels. Like that training about how to begin to regulate the nervous system is the key to what you guys are looking for. Because once you're in a regulated state, and I'm not saying that happens overnight, this is a lifestyle and a practice on a regular basis. Meditation, for me, I sit down, I don't care if my mind is angry, is talking, is quiet. Some days it's quiet, some days it's not. Some days I'm in an emotional bind, some days I feel totally fluid. Contrast is what makes living life interesting. If we were all just living in ecstasy all the time, ecstasy would get boring really fast.
Are you feeling inspired by these podcasts? Is this approach striking a chord with you? Imagine taking this journey even further with personal coaching from Guy and I, right from your own home on Zoom. Join us at our next live event. They happen quarterly. It's an accessible, cost-effective way to dive deep into these transformative practices, not just theoretically, but experientially. Attendees often share that they've experienced unprecedented levels of peace, support, forgiveness, and awareness. Remember, healing isn't just a mental exercise. It must be felt and released through the body. So here's a special gift just for you, our valued listener. Visit intuitivemind.live and use the coupon code OLDSOUL to receive 25% off your ticket. The Intuitive Mind event is unlike any other. So impactful that many participants return multiple times, some as many as 10, 12, even 15 times. Plus, once you register, we'll immediately send you a recording of a previous event so that you can start practicing right away. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to intuitivemind.live, secure your spot for our next live event using the coupon code OLDSOUL, and start your transformative journey today. Now, back to the show.
Like we all chose, in some degree, our souls chose to embody here to have this physical experience that has a lot of variety, and nature has a lot of variety. It's just what's so. And so what we're learning here is how to live in kind of in lockstep with nature and the changes that happened, right? Like our planet can beam sun, and then it can snow, and it can have dryness, and it can have these massive hurricanes, right? These are all important parts of the way that energy moves on our planet, the way that things recycle on our planet. I mean, certainly can be very painful and harmful to human beings at times, but are kind of intrinsically also beautiful and insane to look at when they do their work, right? So this is true for all of us. It's, and this is why I kind of started this conversation. If your agenda, weirdly enough, is to heal yourself, you won't. And if your agenda is to sleep better at night, you probably won't. You'll probably try a lot of drugs, and you'll try a lot of different things. And again, I admire your curiosity, but if you take the pressure off yourself and you stop trying to sleep better, weirdly enough, I almost guarantee you will start sleeping better. I use this metaphor all the time. You cut a finger, you break a bone, or a woman gets pregnant. You can't put more pressure on your finger to heal itself faster. It doesn't work. You also don't have any control over it. You just give it up to the divine intelligence that is your body, that is going to fix that. You set the bone, you let it rest, it takes care of itself. A woman is not telling, the baby where to put the kidneys and liver cells. Like it does that all on its own. It's in the agendalessness and just arriving in the present moment that our interaction and relationship with the divine can be felt. It's in the silence. The action of no action is where we meet our divine intelligence, and our mystical experiences can begin. And so weirdly enough, in the curiosity to try to solve a problem will ultimately get you to a place where you realize not trying to solve the problem is how the problem gets solved. It's very strange. It's very paradoxical, but that's how it is. It's this like relationship of both, not one or the other, not you're only using my masculine energy to try to figure out shit and how to make it all happen. It's being present in this moment, is being with what's arising. And if what's arising is no sleep, certainly uncomfortable, but then there's the judgment and the exasperation that comes with it. And it's like all that stuff is the intelligence of why there's no sleep. So it's like if I were, Garth, if I was in your situation, first of all, I can feel what's going on in your body, in terms of some of the collapses there, specifically in the lower belly, that tightness that's there. That's like a fear response. And you don't have to figure out how to stop the fear response. What you want to do is acknowledge and compassionately be with the part of you that's afraid. Then I would take that into a mini. I would go sit with minis regularly. And I would start working this process of cultivating safety for this part, because you're not going to do it through your mind. You're not going to be like, oh shit, I don't feel safe. That's what, Guy told me. Now I need to go figure out how to feel safe. Yeah. So the fact that it hit you hard means I'm onto something. And you got to get we sleep with one eye open when we're not safe. Like that's what the body's going to do. And so it's not about trying to figure out how to sleep better, although certainly I would want that for you. It's really about learning, how do I cultivate safety so that my body can come to rest? Because when I'm in this angst, when I'm in this fear response, when I'm upregulated in my nervous system literally can't do that thing that we call sleep. You're probably sleeping out of exhaustion instead of actually getting deep sleep. Yeah, so Alicia was asking, how do I describe the alternative, I'll put this in the room, the alternative to linear time and the nature of cyclical experiences? So it's a pretty esoteric question. So I would say, linearity. Yeah, beautiful. And Garth, just let me know, what program are you in right now? Are you in L1? Are you in L2? Just remind me. And so Alicia's asking about time. And look, time obviously is man-made, right? Like this is it's a narrative that we're using because it's convenient to align things on the planet as we need to, and it makes sense that we would have that. But beautiful, Garth, cool. So just as a kind of doctor's orders kind of thing, Garth. It's like, I don't know if you're in mini practices yet in the advanced Satori Prime group, but like I would schedule 3 minis a week. If you don't know what minis are, you should have the nervous system reset protocol, I imagine. Get super clear on how to do them. They're very, very simple. It takes like 5 to 10 minutes a day to do them 3 times a week. I guarantee you, in a few months from now, we're going to be talking. The sleep thing will have improved dramatically, okay? So yeah, as far as time is concerned, it's like, what if you could just drop this concept of time? And, you know, it seems like esoteric spiritual babble, and I apologize for that, but it's like, this is what we have. Like us together right now, this moment, this word, this feeling, this is now. And in this now, it's not just now. And it's one thing to watch now from the conditioning and try to understand what's happening. It's another thing to be in awareness and experience directly what's happening right now. Like I can feel, and now Garth's collapse in his belly and this pressure that's there. And I could feel the pressure he's putting on himself, like here, like I'm actually pointing at the spots, like he's got something in his neck. He has this pressure over here. This feels tight. And I'm sorry, Garth, if I'm pointing out, I'm just using it as an example, but we can do that with anybody's energetic nervous system. We can all feel this, by the way. This is just a bit of training that allowed me for me to feel people's nervous systems this way and be very explicit with what's going on in there. And they're not even trained. Yeah. Sorry. I still find it to be like the coolest thing ever that I can feel that. Right. And it really is. And here's the cool part. We can all do that. Like, it's not a special thing for what I just did there. Having energetic attunement with another human being is exactly what this is. But before you can have energetic attunement with somebody else, you got to have energetic attunement with yourself. You got to understand the principles of doing energetic hygiene in your own body. This is why people struggle so much. It's like plaque is building up in their system. Like, you know, I always laugh about this, but I say, like, would you ever go 2 days without a shower? Fine, maybe 2 days. Would you go a week without a shower? A month without a shower? A year without a shower? Decades without a shower? That's what people are doing. Not on the level of physical, but the level of quote, emotions, but really energetic, because emotions are just energy in motion that we're giving names to. And when energy stops moving, again, use your logic here. What happens to an adult male or a woman? Why do older people never want to be in wheelchairs? Why don't they want to give up their right to drive? Would you? Because we intuitively know in the act of moving less, we accelerate we accelerate our death process. Movement is life. Movement is health. We have a massive obesity problem in America, right? We have people sitting around watching TV at their screens all day long, you know, working in front of a computer all day long. Like, it is a problem. It's a huge problem. And so it's the same issue internally as it is out here. When energy is not fluidly moving through the body, what we get is dis-ease. We get like this buildup in the system. And in order for that for this stuff to continue to move, this is what meditation is for. This is what co-regulation practices are for. It begins this process of beginning to begin the metabolic energy movement in our system. And the byproduct of that is just health. It's guaranteed. As much as it is out here. If you start walking every day, exercising every day, you know, eating whole foods, like, your body is going to begin to detox itself. And you're going to get better. It's a guarantee, as long as you have that lifestyle. We're here to give you guys, again, the path is, what's the lifestyle? Not what's the weekend retreat. What's the lifestyle? What are the things I do day in and day out that are not difficult, but just increase my awareness and allow for my body to heal itself and repair itself as it's designed to do? And let's not drop how fucking incredible the human body is, because, like I said, there are people who are, you know, eating chemical food all day long and snacks that have no nutrition and ultra processed foods and are around chemicals all the time. And yet, even when people live that lifestyle, it takes like 40 years for the body to begin breaking down. It's fucking incredible. Like, that's how much capacity your body has. It's like, I could take it for a while. And then think about people that you know in your lives that seemed like they had everything together, but around their late 30s and 40s, start having panic attacks, physical, emotional, mental diseases that science will tell them that they have. Same thing. There's only so much the body can take. There's only so much avoidance that you can do about trauma responses and emotional things and PTSD and all these things, again, scientific terminology, for just saying that there's dysregulation in the body. And then the body begins to say, it's too much stress. I cannot hold the weight of this ego anymore. And it begins to break down. And that's where a lot of people find us. They find us in that frustration and those breakdowns. And sometimes that's what it takes for, curiosity to arise. Some people don't care at all. Like they'll just, and not that they don't care, but they'll just suffer through it. These things really, really matter. So, for me, it's like, just to kind of get back to the question here, I don't really think of it as an alternative. I just think of time as man-made, and then there's the natural rhythm of things. And the natural rhythm of things is just the natural rhythm of things. It's that which is arising right now. The seasons change, I adapt, right? The air gets cooler, I don't go outside in a pair of shorts. I adapt. I have to shift to be in alignment with the seasons. And unfortunately right now, for so many reasons that I could mention here, we're living very misaligned with energy. We're living in homes that are air conditioned or heated, so we can regulate the temperature inside our body. Doesn't have to adapt. We eat foods that are out of season, which send the wrong signal to our body. Like right now, if you guys notice, like this is a fruit season, right? Like a lot of apples and things of this nature are here because this is usually when we would actually take in more glucose at this time of year. And the reason for a lot of fruits at this time of year in harvest is because glucose sends the signal to our body to begin to store fat. Why would we want to store fat? Because winter is coming. And if we were in nature, we would be eating less. So we need to husky up a little bit to have energy reserves, knowing that we're probably going to eat less food. But in the current food system that we have, there's none of that. You eat all sorts of different foods. It confuses the body. It starts to fall out of lockstep with the natural rhythms of things. And so, like learning to live with the rhythm of nature, it's weird because we started thinking of ourselves as like separate from nature. I mean, what could be farther from the truth? And so there's just so much we can learn by being outside and observing. And unfortunately, me included, we live in these urban environments and it redacts your wisdom. It like takes it away from you. And for those of you guys that know, like I just came back from the Colombian jungle and we spend a week down there every year. And we work with an indigenous family and we do plant medicine work, specifically ayahuasca and a few others, but specifically ayahuasca is the focus. And they call it yahe down there. And if any of you guys want more information on that, you can go on my Facebook newsfeed. And I did a whole talk on what I've learned by sitting in over 100 of those ceremonies. And just like a write up on it and just kind of weird and wonderful things that go on in my life. And I could tell you every time I'm down there, just getting on that land, it's like we do it in this, we call it the Garden of Eden, but it's like in the jungle space. Just getting on the land, it does something to your physiology. And it like begins to have you remember quickly what's important. And I always tell people, even if you don't do any medicine when you're down here, the land itself will begin to heal you. There's something so important about that connection to the point that every time I leave, I'm like in dismay. Like my body doesn't know what to do. It's like a deep wound of being disconnected, like disconnected from a parent or a mother. It's very painful to leave that area. It's very painful to leave land. And there is the adjustment, right? Because we're so used to the conveniences. But as one of my friends always says, convenience is the devil. So, things that feel very inconvenient the first or second day become like the things that you love by day 3 or 4. And so we're a lot of us are missing this connection now. And, if you do live in an urban environment, but have an opportunity to get into nature more regularly, I guarantee you it's going to resource you and regulate you. It's just so important to recognize that we're part of this thing, and that if we hurt it, we hurt ourselves, you know? So yeah, any other curiosities? I'll scroll up here, see. There was a few other things, I think. Yeah, and Garth, you know, just kind of reading through your stuff, it's like even the way you talk to yourself, I have to, you know, see if you can just shift those things to I get to. Like, I get to nurture myself. I don't have to heal myself. I get to nurture myself. I get to be present with myself. I get to learn about support. I get to learn about safety. Like, we've been conditioned to, you know, through many generations, to put an immense amount of pressure on ourselves to be some perfect version of ourselves. And intuitively or unconsciously, subconsciously, we believe that if I don't do the right thing, I'm not worthy of love. Unfortunately, one of the biggest lies on planet Earth is that you have to do something to be worthy of love. You're worthy because you are. You deserve love because you were born. Like, that's it. That's the nature of things. There was never any conditions on how you receive love. Mom and dad did that because that's what was done to them. That was the conditioning they got. And generally speaking, the conditioning mom and dad got was even worse. You got like a filtered, tempered version of what was done to them. Like, you know, 2 generations back, beating the shit out of children, totally acceptable. Breaking the child's will and the child having no willpower, totally acceptable. That's great if you want to create a society of automatons that follow the rule and trust in whatever the government says and all that kind of stuff, or, you know, and this has been, and I'm not saying this in a coercive way. I'm just saying, like, this is how large systems take control of a collective, thinking that, oh, we need this level of control for humanity to live in harmony with one another. Here's what I know. Anybody who does this work that I'm talking about here is literally every single day becoming more compassionate, feeling more safe, more easily connects. You don't need to tell those kind of people that, you know, killing people is wrong. It's self-evident. It's self-evident because when you live in a state of compassion within yourself, you give compassion to everybody around you, no matter what state they're in. And so that's the thing. Like, if you want to see, you know, you guys tell me yes or no in the chat box. You want to see a more peaceful world. You want to see a world that's more compassionate towards itself and other people. You know, you want to see a world that, I don't know if it can always work for everybody, but for the most part, feels connected and all that kind of stuff. I imagine if you're here, you probably want to see more of that. So take into consideration that there's no leader coming that's going to make that happen. There's no law that they can change that suddenly makes everybody feel, you know, kumbaya and connected with one another. It doesn't work that way. It's ridiculous. And look how many people are so invested on getting, like, oh, I got to get my person into office. Okay, fine. Even if that was, quote, the right person or the wrong person, whatever it is, 50% of the population feels like it was the wrong person. You think you're going to have coherence? And is there a law that they can change that makes everyone cohere? Of course not. It's bullshit. If you want to change the world, it's not about changing laws or the perfect government or the perfect economic system. It's about the hearts and minds of the people softening and shifting. I've never seen anybody be able to give what they haven't given themselves first. So if you're walking around dysregulated and angry, you spread that dysregulation and that anger to everybody around you. You judge everybody who's dysregulated. Every time you see anger, you want to squash it or kill it or get rid of it. And in contrast to that, if you are compassionate towards yourself when other people are in their process and doing things that are highly dysregulated, you look at it and go, I get that. I've done that. I've been there before. And instead of being hostile towards them, you feel compassion for them. They're in their process. It used to really bother me when people were angry around me. Why? Because I was angry inside. So I would avoid my own anger, trying to become a perfect person, trying to not show this aspect of myself that I was sure people would judge and hate me for and dislike me for. And in the hiding, it would just come out all the time in the worst possible situations. I felt like Bruce Banner when he's trying to hide the Incredible Hulk. And there was no peace, ever. There was no peace with people around me. And then I found ways to sit with that and realize this is an unmet need. This is the hostility is protecting something. And for those of you guys who are more, anger first type people, it's not your fault, first of all. And second of all, realize that all you're doing is protecting a broken heart. There was a real big trauma, probably pretty early on in like that 4 to 7 range. And you experience a great deal of heartbreak. And the body said, and the anger came forward to protect it. It's probably why you look more like me and you have broad shoulders and a bigger chest, because the body literally physically will regulate itself to protect the heart. And so how do you protect the heart? You build more width in this part of the body. And this is how the body protects the heart. This is why a lot of people who are overweight go on yo-yo diets and they can't lose the weight, and they don't understand why, because the body is literally protecting itself. It's like it's gained that weight to literally create distance between itself and the world. I guarantee you, like anybody here who's more heavy set, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You keep your energy in the ground, hidden away from people. You're scared to speak your mind. You hate when people tell you what your opinion is. And you've gone on these diets and it doesn't work, because the moment that the weight comes down, the threat response in the body goes up. And so to quell that threat response, you go and grab more food to try to relieve that stress. And in doing so, you gain more weight. And then the body gets back to a place where it's comfortable and yo, right? Like anybody who's experienced that, tell me that that's not true. So, I say this half jokingly, but really kind of serious as well, is like when you've done the work as long as I have, and you understand there's like roughly, just like there's 7 chakra systems, there's roughly 7 character styles that people land into. And you can tell by the shape of their body what the underlying psychological trauma is, because the mind shapes the body and puts it in a certain configuration based on how it deems it's going to protect itself best. And so everything that we call the ego, the personality, the identity, these are just ways that we defend ourselves. That's it. We defend the truth. We defend the sensitive part underneath. And this world has not been very kind to sensitive people. And the reality is we are all sensitive people. Yes, even them. Yes, even him. Yes, even her. Very sensitive people. When you see people in politics who are sociopathic in nature, imagine the trauma that human being has experienced that has led them to become so numb of their emotions. Donald Trump, whether you like him or don't like him, I leave that for you to judge. But he's a great example for all of us, and I believe playing a role to elucidate for a lot of us, this narcissistic ego that lives in all of us. And so, it's pretty well known. His father wasn't very affectionate with him. He lived his life to make his father happy. Imagine the level of numbness that child had to garner in order to live in that environment where he had no real connection. And then it all kind of makes sense, right? Again, we're always seeing people at these levels. You're seeing trauma unfold at very, very large scale. And there's something we all get to learn from that, whatever your opinion is about that. And that's fine. You're welcome to your opinions. It's all good here. So that's happening to all of us all the time. And that's what we all get to work through. And this is the path. And again, unfortunately, no shortcuts. So it's like, you want to hate that part of yourself? Like when you're looking at Trump and you don't like it, what you're basically saying is, I avoid that aspect of myself too. I hate that part of myself. So I hate that out here. And if we get rid of it in the world, then I'll finally be safe. Let's get rid of him. Then I'll feel safe. You won't. Because you'll find another place, you'll find another person that represents that. You'll find another community that represents that. You'll find another energy system or governance or something that's against you that represents that. The mind will always do that. Like I said, it's not here to help. It's not because it wants you to suffer. It's because until there's compassion there for it, that cycle repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats, just like the seasons on our planet. And it's giving you an opportunity, from really like a beautiful place, a loving place, to be with it. We all know these patterns. We all know the repetition of stuff in our lives. It's not like it's a one and done. They keep coming and coming and coming and coming. Again, what if you presumed that what was making it come over and over again like that was a loving source? It wasn't against you. It's not working against you. It's lovingly trying to show you. And it's trying to grab your attention to make you realize the truth. This is a part of you. Are you going to love it or not this time? And if you don't love it, it's all right, I'll be back. I'll give you another shot in a moment. And this is why Garth, ends up in a situation with a boss he doesn't like, or, people end up in the same type of relationships over and over again. You hear women or men say like, oh, women are crazy, or men are always the same. I always end up in the same relationships. What are the chances? What are the chances that you would end up in the same kind of relationship over and over and over again with the same type of person over and over again? You got to recognize I am the common denominator. I'm attracting this into my life for a reason, to show me something. And if I keep waiting for them to change, it's not going to happen. It's really all about your inner experience. You guys are here to learn how to be with your inner sanctum. And I mentioned this on the L1 call. It's like what all of us really care about. Doesn't matter what experience we go have, whether it's fine dining experience, a vacation or travel or holiday, whether it's a movie or some entertainment event. It's not about this out here. It's about how we feel inside. This is the number one thing that we value. So if the number one thing we value is how we feel inside, but all of society is telling you the only thing that matters is what's outside of you, the life that you have out here, the money you have out here, the friends that you have out here, everything is externalized. Everything in society is look outside of yourself, look outside of yourself. Oh, you want to connect with God? You need this mediation over here. You need a priest. You need this, you need that. Everything is outside. Go to the authority outside of yourself. Don't trust yourself. Ask the authority what you should feel about it. And so we lose our ability to self-reference, to feel what we actually feel inside. And we're so scared of our emotions. We're so scared of these sensations that we have turned away from our entire experience. And then, of course, we're living in this matrix virtual reality out here going, I don't fucking understand why I feel so shitty. Well, you're not connecting with the most important part of you, the spark, the essence, the soul, the divine nature. Your subconscious is your soul. It's your higher self speaking to you. Most of us don't even know how to connect to it. We don't even understand that our awareness literally teaches itself. Everything that you ever will need to know or need to know about your healing, your process, it's already pre-installed. It's preordained inside of you. And if you learn how to be with what's arising within you, it is constantly teaching you. But when you face out and you avoid what's in, you get some insights probably. It feels good for like a moment, and then it doesn't. You go right back to the way you were, because insights have nothing to do, and insights have nothing to do with really learning about your direct experience. So I think we'll stop it there for today. Really appreciate you guys. Again, really just want to admire everybody here for their courage, for looking, for their curiosity, for being a type of person that's raising their hand and just willing to ask the question, like, what is out there? What else is there? And again, I just want to tell you, I guarantee you results. I guarantee you hang around this community for the next 3, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, guaranteed your life doesn't just change a little bit, radically changes. Results here are guaranteed. You commit yourself to learning this path, this lifestyle that I'm talking about. There's no other way that it can go. This doesn't fail for anybody. So the only difference that I will offer you guys, it's like you got to ask yourself, what's my level of commitment to my healing, to my spiritual work? And it doesn't have to be what I do, what Elon does, or what anybody else does. I really like, if there's something I want to teach you, is how do I reference myself? How do I ask myself the important question and get a response and an answer back about what's my guidance? What's important for me? Because if you can't answer that question, you will forever give your power to me or anybody else and give the authority to tell them what's good for you. Nobody knows what's good for you but you. And your intelligence is going to guide you on what's good for you. Whether it's the food you should be eating, or the people you should be in relationships with, or the place that you work, or the person that you're married to. Again, a lot of us choose even our partners based on our trauma-informed responses. We choose our job sites, like Garth was pointing out, right? Because of the trauma-informed responses. We don't even know how to get our needs met anymore. So I want to tell you again here, I want to give you the confidence. Like as a teacher, I'm not here to tell you what to see. You'll hear me say all the time, this is my story. I've made this up. This is what works for me. But like what I want to offer you is a teacher doesn't show you what to see. They just tell you where to look. There are places I looked, and then I had to determine what was it. What do I see when I look through that lens? What do I experience when I have that experience? That's what's informed here. And I don't even care if what you see is completely different than what I see. That's even more important, that we get more variety, that we have more abundance in the way that we introspect and the way that we get curious. We don't need a one-size-fits-all answer, because that is a linear process. That's like guaranteeing somebody, if you do these 3 steps, you're going to be wealthy. Guys, there's 5 billion programs online that are trying to make you healthy, give you a 6-pack, and make you rich. I guarantee you, most people are not healthy, do not have a 6-pack, and are not rich. So what does that tell you about those kind of processes? They don't work because they don't align with nature. And again, nature is an emergent experience. You want to learn how to be with your emergent experience. That's what confidence is. I can be with whatever arises. Even if it's worry, fear, terror, whatever, I can be with that experience. Boom, it moves through. I come back into this beautiful open space. And that's just life. These waves of energy and emotion and thought, it's never going to stop. At least not as long as you're in this body. And I nearly guarantee you that when you're done being in this body, soul does its little loop-de-loop, it filters, and it comes back down into another body. We're here for a reason. What's happening on this planet right now is really, really important. We are, whether you know it or not, in prophetic times on this planet. Many, many stories, many books will be told about this period of time in human history. It's very, very important what's happening on this planet right now. Pay attention. Open your gaze. Zoom out. Stop being so worried about the day-to-day stuff that the news media, tries to facilitate and bring your awareness to, and it takes your energy from you. Zoom out. Feel your body. This is your temple. Learn how to self-reference. Learn how to figure out what's good for you. And then you can interact with the reality out there, no problem. But it won't pull you into all this craziness and intensity and all the stuff that's going on here. Yeah, like we're all going on this ride together. Some people just suffer a lot more as they're going through it. But evolution comes for all of us. It's happening whether we want it to or not. You decide whether you align with that energy and how it moves to evolve to bring more coherence and abundance, or you kick and scream the entire way. It's kind of how it goes. Love you guys. Thank you for being here with me, bringing your awareness to it. I hope today's conversation made a difference for you. And thank you for being part of the Satori Prime community. Take care. All the best to you and yours.
Thank you, dear one, for choosing to share a bit of your day with us. We value you greatly. And as a way to give back and help you to deepen these practices, we want to invite you to join our incredible community on Facebook. You can do so easily by going to joinoldsouls.com and ask for an invite. This is our private community where old souls and seekers are able to grow and share their journey with others. We hold exclusive weekly live streams, we answer your personal questions, and offer valuable insights that we won't be able to share here on the podcast. So again, just head to joinoldsouls.com and grab your invite today. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, please head to iTunes and leave us a review. It's the only way other people can find this show. So if it's making a difference in your life, please share the love. Until we meet again, have an amazing week, dear one.